I'm here with Deanna Espinas, who is the Acting Executive Director for the Hawaii Plantation Villages. Thank you for joining us. And much mahalo to you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Did your background prepare you to be the Acting Executive Director?
No, I had actually served on the board of directors for several years, but I was also part of the Filipino American Historical Society and wanted to help in some way. Little did I realize that 4 years ago I would have to serve as the Acting Executive Director.
And you know, I don't like the word acting, so I know that you are very definitely in this leadership position.
For now, yes.
What's special about this place for you?
I think if you know about Hawaii's Plantation Village, you feel like you've left the main road of Waipahu Street and have gone off into another world, because it's trying to capture the stories of those who came in the late 1800s to work on the plantation. And if you have the chance to visit the houses, you'll see that the various ethnic groups that came brought an element of their lives from the countries they came from for a better life here in Hawaii, and that's magical.
You know, we tend to forget, growing up here in Hawaii, with its modern technology and everything that prepares us, right, for the 21st century. We forget where we come from. And so this place reminds us.
It reminds you that these were perhaps some people's grandparents, great-grandparents, who came from another world on a ship. And when they landed in Hawaii, what was it like to say, how do I bring up my family, or how do I survive as an individual? And you're in a different country also.
In your past career, and maybe you could share a little bit about that, what is the role of culture?
I retired from the Department of Public Safety, Library Services in 2014. And even while working with the department, the prison system, I found that culture played a very important element. I was involved with the Filipino American Historical Society, and it was always the intent of our group to capture the stories of our grandparents, our parents. What is it like coming from another country to find a new life? What were some of the struggles? And what do we, as the children, learn from that?
You know, what really touches me about that is it's more than history. It really is about our present.
Right, right. Because you know that our parents had to make some adjustments and sacrifices, and I'm sure they must have felt so alone, isolated. If they weren't speaking English properly, how did they get their thoughts across? And if they tried to find employment or get an education, what were the barriers and what were the challenges, and how did they overcome it? And what happened to them when they successfully bring up their families finally? And what are their hopes for us as the future?
What are some of the challenges?
The challenge is that this is a nonprofit. We are actually the Friends of Waipahu Cultural Garden Park, doing business as Hawaii's Plantation Village. And that means there needs to be funding, and you also need support of volunteers or others who want to capture the story of the plantation workers, the early plantation workers, and keep these memories alive by our outreach to the children of the future who come to visit and say, you mean this is how people used to live?
Yeah. So if you had a parting thought, because our interview is about over right now, what might be that to encourage the public?
I would love for each of them to come and visit us. We have a lot of new free activities throughout the year, but I think what sticks out in my mind is one child who saw me sitting here by myself one day. They go, Mom or Auntie, Auntie, you live here? I go, oh, no, I get to go home. But I guess he thought that this is a place that I live. And I said, oh, that's a thought. This was a place where people used to live.
Yes.
And their stories are still alive.
Well, I'm glad you took that as a compliment. Yes. Thank you very much for being with us today.
My pleasure.
We've been chatting with Deanna Espinas, who is the Acting Executive Director for the Hawaii Plantation Villages. Thank you for being with us.